you're going to have a hard time finding many cars in the 2026 mainline that have not been released between 2020 and 2025. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, Mattel's pretty much only releasing stuff from the past 5 years. If it was not released between 2020 and 2025, likely they're not doing it for the 2026 mainline. But there are a few exceptions, and one of those is Marilyn, whose last release was in 2018. So pretty crazy. They're going back quite a few years for this one, but the rest of it, it's just a recycling of stuff they've done over the last 5 years, which not ideal. But today we're going to celebrate one of the few exceptions to that rule. We did the other day with Richie Guns It. That was cool. And here we have Marilyn from Cars 1, the end credits sequence, which really supplied a lot of cool things, and Mattel really just barely tapped into the surface of the potential. They could have done those tarred tuners. Don't get me started on it, but let's dive in here with Marilyn, who has come out of 2026 Singles Case A, which is hitting stores across the world as we speak. I have found quite a few of her at Target stores and Meijer stores. I have not seen this case, and I don't think anyone has seen any 2026 singles pop up at Walmart yet, but I assume would be any day now, literally, although I don't think many people have even found Case Z there. Walmart is a little bit behind, although they have been pretty much getting in every case. It's just a lot slower than Target, who's already on the Case B. Now, Marilyn, like I said, last release was in 2018. That was just as Mattel was shifting production from China to Thailand. She was in one of those first cases with like Race Tow Truck Tom and Cars Street Chick Hicks. Pretty cool. But this is now a new Chinese variant that is a lot more similar to that Thailand version, but still a little different, and a lot different from her original Chinese release in 2010. On the back here, you have some other Cars 1 releases like Transforming McQueen, who we reviewed the other day. I'll leave the link to that in the description below, and card suggestion pop up in the top right-hand corner. And then you have a bunch of Radiator Springs townies from varying levels of popularity. Flo, Sarge, Mater with the Working Toic, Sally, and then Lizzie, who's going to be the most popular. Although really no cars this year are going to be rare, and that is because they are designing the mainline so that most cars on average are going to appear in 4 cases. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Most cars in the mainline are going to be in 4 cases. So does that mean everything's going to pegworm? No, but it'll be a lot easier to find stuff. Whereas we look to last year, My Name's Not Chuck, Joe Don Jackson, JW, those cars were only in 1 case. You take Jonathan Gearson, in 2 cases, but neither of the half Walmart cases, right? So you just won't have that issue in 2026. For better or for worse, I mean, for better, you could find stuff more easily. For worse, there are way fewer cars in this year's mainline. But without any further ado, let's crack Marilyn open. Here we have Marilyn all opened up, looking pretty good, but I do want to warn you about the quality control on her, as I have come into contact with quite a few that aren't so great. Look at this one. I'm returning this one to the store because it's got some crazy black mark there over the windshield and roof. We don't want that, so just be careful when you pick her up. Make sure she's all good, because I don't know if it's something with the way they're producing her that is making her more vulnerable to blemishes like that. Now there is Marilyn in Cars 1, like I said, the end credit sequence where we see Radiator Springs thriving. She is the modern day version of Greta, who I will compare her to in a moment. Now it is funny, Marilyn, background character, not even really in the full movie. Like, you're in the post-credit sequence, not even getting that full screen. And yet Marilyn's received a bunch of variants, some of which kind of unintended. You know, we have this new China version, we have the Thailand version, we have the original Chinese version. But we also have to remember she got a metallic version in early 2018 as well. Yeah, Mattel had a little bit of a Marilyn fetish during that period where they did, you know, metallic Marilyn, and then they did normal Marilyn from Thailand, and just the year prior in early 2017 they did a 2-pack of her with Nick stickers, and that's when they called her Marilyn stickers. So they just kind of wed her off just randomly and subtly, but we all know this crazy. Marilyn's got a lot of lore, but I just want to focus on new China versus old China. So just to prove it to you, this is the oldest of the Marilyns. That was produced on, oh my goodness, the 270th day of 2010. I love that 00, the 00 there at the end. You can see back in the day where they didn't put a million different things on the base, just said Mattel Inc., the product code, date stamp, and Disney Pixar China. Now they have to say made in China. They put Mattel's headquarters on there because that's super useful information. Doesn't really matter though. I'm just complaining. Don't listen to me. But right off the bat here, we have seen Marilyn become a unibody, fully metal, which is a very good thing because if we look here, she used to have a mouth plate. So that is the plastic front piece that is attached to the metal body. And you can see, the color matches pretty good. It's a pretty seamless transition. But, there are areas where it's like, oh, that doesn't look so great because fusing plastic and metal together isn't the easiest thing in the world. And so, yeah, not big on that, but it is what it is. It's actually funny. I've seen people, like, strip the decals off Marilyn. The front, this mouth plate here is yellow. Like, if you were to strip everything down, it would become yellow. So it kind of gives off, like, a prototype vibe. And some people have used that to try and scam people thinking that it was a prototype. Not only did this original Chinese version have a mouth plate, but you also have this plastic eye plate here. You can see the crack around the windshield there. That one's a lot more seamless. I think that one looks totally fine. But yeah, lots of segmentation here to Marilyn back in the day, even though they never ended up reusing Marilyn's model for any other characters. Unless I'm completely brain farting, which I would be in shambles. If I'm wrong about this, I really studied this before the video. I just don't think they've ever used Marilyn's model again. They could have. There are other cars in Cars 1 that utilize Marilyn's model. In fact, the Alpha Numeros, one of the groups of the Alpha Numeros, if you know who I'm talking about, they utilize Marilyn's model. So maybe Mattel thought they would do more in the future, and then they just ended up not. So the segmentation just didn't even yield any post long-term benefit. So that's already a huge win for this new Chinese version. And it was something, we saw in the Thai version as well, the segmentation going away. So let's zoom in here and take a look at the colors. You guys know I love cars with expressions looking off to the side. Just gives them so much more character and animation. And Marilyn is no exception to that rule. She looks phenomenal with this expression. The flames are a little more orange, a little darker, which I am fine with. But the purple is a little brighter, I would say. It's a little more of a lighter, kind of almost, crawling toward lavender. Looks good. Now, one thing I'm not big on is it's almost like some makeup gone wrong. You have like this really light patch. See what I'm talking about right over my thumb here. Like, what happened there? You got the darker here, you got the darker there, and then you have kind of like a light patch almost on her cheeks as if she's blushing or something. I don't know. It looks a little strange, but we'll just pass on that. Do have these wheels that they've used on some other cars. I'll show you that as we go along. They're just kind of the covered hubcaps, no spokes visible. Again, Thailand on the top. No Thailand here at all. What am I talking about? It's because these feel so much similar to Thailand variants, even though we are in the new Chinese era now. But anyways, this is new China, this is old China. So not a ton going on here on the sides that differentiate the two of them besides the color purple, which you could definitely see is lighter here on the new Chinese version. The license plates are the same, so that's good. Consistency. 49643, pretty blurry though. Cannot read the red text above it. Let's see if we can on this version. We can. Reads Kingpin, much clearer decal. Oh man, that might just save it. Like the segmentation, not great. Don't love the mouth plate, don't love the eye plate. But this license plate is so much better. It might save the variant. Oh man, it just looks like it's in motion blur. Like, how can we not fix that? Taillights are also a little bit different here. There's a lot like that curved white panel. It's way bigger than on the new Chinese version. So definitely some differences here in the back. Take a look at the base of this one. 2115 EAA, so made on the 211th day of 2025. So literally just shy of the 15th anniversary of the production of my original Chinese version. That was the 270th day of 2010. This is the 215th day. So literally 55 days shy of being 10 years apart to the day. It's pretty cool. But yeah, you can see how much more they've added to the base. Now, since Marilyn doesn't have any other characters or cars that share her model, I just brought out some similar ones, like Valerie V8 here, who also appears in this sequence. Another nice sedan, similar taillights, that's for sure. It's funny which characters Mattel clung on to over time, despite having the same exact upbringing, essentially, to others. So, like Valerie V8 and Marilyn, both, final lap cars, could have really, gone down the same path. Here we have Sedania Oskanian from the Dynaco Daydream. The Autobahn Society, very similar wheels. But they took very different paths. Valerie V8 never getting released again. Marilyn getting several releases. You got the Radiator Springs Classic version. You got that 2-pack with Nick stickers. And then you had all this action, kind of in the post-Cars 3 era, which, a lot of these, if you don't, make it past Cars 3, you're probably not seeing the light of day, right? Here we have Marlin Clutches McKay, who's another, sedan, nothing too similar, but wanted to bring him out. I like Marlin a lot. Another great expression that Mattel did, even though it's not looking off to the side, like Christina is here. You'd think Christina is a coupe, just the 2-door, but no, Christina is a sedan. And what else? Her hubby, I guess, Nick Stickers. Another Final Lap character that has stood the test of time, even though he hasn't been released in a while. I do like the consistency. I don't know how much this was intentional, but they did end up doing a metallic version of Nick Stickers the year after they did a metallic version of Marilyn. So I do find that pretty cool. Mattel just single-handedly canonizing the fact that they're married now. All right, cool. We'll take that. Here is the metallic version of Marilyn that snuck out from China before the switch over. You can see here, produced on the 82nd day of 2018. So yeah, was not close. Probably could have been canceled. There's probably a world out there where this one gets canceled. That may be made in Thailand, but yeah, this is what we're working with right now. And yeah, because of that, she is a little rare. There were a lot that leaked to the Chinese eBay sellers though. So like this and the Mario Andretti, you could find metallic on eBay from China, or at least you were able to for the last few years, despite the releases themselves being quite rare. Now this version, you could see, is still segmented there with the mouth plate, and I do think they had made the eyes. No, I think that's also still a separate piece. They make it look very seamless, but you could still see the crack there right along the hood. But yeah, it's a cool character to make metallic. We don't see metallic purple really ever. Back when Mattel was really cooking. I'd say, really, I like 2024 a lot. It's just 2025, and, we're staring down the barrel of 2026. Just not looking good. I'm a little discouraged by it, if I'm being honest with you guys. Here we have Greta, kind of her old-time version. Ramone taking care of both of these ladies with some nice flames. Greta, not worthy to have a license plate, sadly. Things were a little more lawless back then, I guess. Yeah, I'm just not super optimistic about where the line is headed. You think for the 20th anniversary, Mattel would kind of put everything out on the line, go all out. And quite frankly, they're doing the opposite of that by going all in. and being like, well, there are 6 celebration cars. Nothing else new in the main line, technically. And yeah, that'll be that. Another cool comparison and a 2-pack we should have gotten is Marilyn and Grant Greenlight. Grant actually has the same rims as Marilyn. This is the modern version of Edwin Cranks, who, was released in a 2-pack with Greta. So the connections are there. Only the OGs remember Grant Greenlight. He was featured in one of my 12 Days of Christmas seasons. Not too long ago, maybe 3-4 years at this point. But yeah, I love, maybe these two should have gotten married. But I guess Nick Stickers swooped in and stole Marilyn away from poor Grant. That's just a fan name, by the way. But guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I really like this new Chinese variant. I will give it that. License plate super blurry. The fact that it's a unibody definitely makes it kind of an overall improvement over the original Chinese version. But guys, thanks so much for watching. I will see you soon for another video. What the hell else do I have to say? Enjoy your Thanksgiving if this is the last video you're watching before the holiday. If not, do whatever. Just have a good day. Bye now.